Hi guys, welcome to my channel. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, my name is Alexandra, and today I'm going to be sharing the third video in a little series all about my and my husband's 2018 road trip when we left our normal life behind and we bought a minivan to live and travel across the US in. A little life update since my last video where I made an exciting announcement. I am currently 22 weeks pregnant, which means that we are more than halfway to our baby being here. And as soon as I'm done with this series all about our road trip and our backpacking trip through Asia, I'm going to go ahead and share what my experience is like being pregnant and having a little one on the road is like. But first, let's just go ahead and jump back in time to that 2018 minivan adventure. Where I last left off, we had just left Kings Canyon and we're headed towards Yosemite. So let's go ahead and just jump right back in time. After exactly 1 week of living on the road, we woke up September 12, 2018 at our free campsite just 20 minutes outside of Yosemite. Driving into the park, I didn't really know what to expect because I had never been before. I had only ever seen photos, which is kind of crazy because I had lived in San Diego, California my whole life up until that point, which is only a 7-hour drive away. And that's exactly why I knew we needed to make a stop here on our drive across the US. Whether or not it had been on fire the week prior. Like I said in my last video, we were on our road trip when all the fires in California started happening that year. But that wasn't going to stop me. And let me just say, I'm so glad it didn't, because I was so totally blown away when we pulled up to the Glacier Point parking lot and walked to the edge of the overlook. If I thought Kings Canyon was psychedelic, looking into the Yosemite Valley made me feel like my eyeballs had taken LSD. After devouring the bird's eye view of the valley, it was time to head down. And it felt like we were driving into a frickin' dream. How did I not know this existed? How had I never been here? And why wasn't everybody freaking out like I was? On our drive through the valley, we took a pit stop to make lunch. And I know it doesn't look that great, but I promise it tasted a lot better than it looked. Especially because all we had been eating that whole week prior were like nuts and rice crackers with avocado and fruit all day. It was such a luxury to be able to cook anything living on the road, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. After we cleaned up our lunch, we stopped by the river to take a little dip. While I was walking around the river, I was kind of tripping out on the fact that we had manifested everything we had wanted to. We actually pulled it off, and it was happening. There had been a lot of hard work and positive thinking that got us where we were, but everything really kind of pretty much fell into place perfectly. I was almost waiting for someone to pop out of the bushes and be like, "Trick, time for you to come back to reality." But luckily for us, that didn't happen. After I was done tripping out on life, we went for a little 3-mile walk to Muir Lake, which was right down the road from the river. Since we were there in September, the lake had dried up, so there was no Muir, which would be the lake, and we were almost disappointed until we noticed what was in the dried up lake bed. A mama bear and 2 of her little cubs. These cute little teddy bears were the first bears I had ever seen in the wild. Luckily, Mama was not interested in us one little bit. She had a tracker on her neck, which was like kind of sad, but knowing she must be used to humans gave us both a little peace of mind, but we still kept our distance. After admiring Mama and babies, we went on our way. Check out my Yosemite blog post linked below to read all about our supernatural walk back to the car. To hear about our run-in with auras, angels, and spirits. Oh my! You'll get to hear all about my little spirit friends I always reference in these videos. Let me know in the comments below if you've ever experienced anything supernatural, or you just think I'm a total weirdo. We drove out of the park that night and found this beautiful secluded spot to sleep and call home for the night. The next morning we woke up and started our drive to Tuolumne Meadows on the north end of the park. But on our drive up the hill to the meadows, our engine stopped. Since there is no service in the park, getting somewhere we could actually call AAA was an adventure in of itself. Once we were able to make the call, we had to wait for a tow truck for 8 hours so we could get towed out of the park into the nearest repair shop. If we didn't have AAA, that tow would have cost $1,000. Always make sure you have AAA on a road trip. We finally arrived to Rick's Auto Repair that night at 9 p.m. where we spent the night in our broken down minivan. The next morning we woke up in the auto repair parking lot and waited for them to open.
Wow.
Lucky for us, they were able to fix our engine issue within 1 hour of them opening. So $500 later and 3 hours after waking up, we were back on our way to the Meadows. So that Walmart incident that happened in the beginning of our trip really wound up paying off after all. You can watch our first video or read the blog post linked down below to hear all about our Walmart fiasco. Thank God our car never had any other engine issues after this. I just couldn't quite get over that the cost of the mechanic bill was almost exactly the same amount we received in our Walmart insurance claim. It was a little too synchronistic. I took it as a sign from the universe that we were on the right path, which was really nice to get because it was a little anxiety inducing having sold everything to live in a minivan. I really could not believe the difference between Yosemite Valley and Tuolumne Meadows. It felt like they should have been much further away from each other because they are so different. On our drive out of the park, we realized we had no idea where we were going to stay for the night. We pulled over a few times off Tioga Road to check out free camp spots marked on the iOverlander app, but nothing seemed right. So we continued and found somewhere not on the map. We spotted this lake and found a little hidden spot we could park for the night. This was my favorite place we got to call home for the night. We spent the night parked in a hidden tree fortress right on Tioga Lake. After spending the previous night in an auto repair parking lot, this was a major upgrade. Finding a new place every day to fall asleep was a lot more exciting and easier than it sounds. You definitely have to rely on your intuition when it comes to picking the right spot though. I couldn't argue with the fact that we had found a beautiful place to call home till the next morning, but I had never been so afraid of a mountain lion coming and swooping me up in my life, or a serial killer. I guess it had finally hit me we were sleeping in places where there were little to no people around and zero cell service. Better.
Nice, huh?
Wow, look at the moon.
Bloody gorgeous. We did it.
After finally falling asleep that night and waking up the next morning alive, we were ready to make our way to our next destination, which was Sierraville, California. We were planning to spend that day and night at a hot spring. But on our way there, we would get to drive through Tahoe, somewhere else I had never been. Cooking on the road while living out of a minivan isn't the most convenient, as you can see here, but it sure is worth it. Let me tell you, nothing can come between me and my veggies. I feel like my happiest, best self when I get to eat them every day. And I did not use living out of a van as an excuse to eat yucky processed food every day, even though that's what was abundantly available. We actually went out of our way to stock up on healthy snacks, fresh fruits, and veggies so we could have the energy to enjoy what we were experiencing. I knew we had made it to Tahoe when I saw the beautiful deep blue and turquoise water. I had never been to Tahoe before, and my husband had only been during the winter, so we really weren't sure where to stop and look at the lake. But we finally found an overlook to check out the view of the lake. Unfortunately, it was packed, so we hopped right back in the car and kept driving. We both are pretty go with the flow kind of people while we're traveling, And we still had lots of ground to cover, like thousands of miles and a few more national parks and forests. So we were cool with just driving through Tahoe. Plus, I was like super eager to get to the Grand Tetons and then Yellowstone, which was still at least a few days drive away. I really hope you enjoyed following along with our adventure through Yosemite. I highly recommend going as soon as you can, or at least putting it on your bucket list. My next video will be all about our drive from Nevada into the Grand Tetons and through Yellowstone. So please like, subscribe, and comment. It really helps my channel out and keeps me motivated to make the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.